I need to score a 9 on the IELTS listening section in a few days, and I have no idea where to start. No matter how many practice tests I've done, my score always stays the same. I don't understand how to listen to the recordings and answer questions at the same time. Most of my mistakes are spelling mistakes. How am I supposed to remember how to spell all these words? Okay, these are just a few of the typical problems IELTS students have when it comes to IELTS listening. Having taught IELTS for over 10 years, I've seen many different types of students. Some of them were intermediate learners. Some had lived in Canada and the US for over 20 years. And some were English teachers who wanted to get their degrees abroad. Of course, they all had different problems, but most struggled with correctly spelling answers, keeping up with the recording, multitasking, staying focused under pressure, and staying on time. So, I decided to dedicate this video to all future IELTS test takers who want to score high on the listening section of the IELTS test. By the end of this video, I hope you'll understand that the IELTS listening is not as scary as it seems, and will feel equipped with all the necessary tools and knowledge to tackle it effectively. So, welcome to our comprehensive guide to excelling in the IELTS listening section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get our latest IELTS updates. Without further ado, let's get started. It's important to realize that your IELTS listening score, just like the score you get for any other section of a language test, depends largely on your level. If you're an intermediate student, your preparation plan will be very different from that of an advanced English learner. You'll need to work on refining your listening skills and expanding your vocabulary. So, the first thing you want to do is determine your listening level. As I said, this is an important step in creating your IELTS listening study plan. To do this, take 2 or 3 listening practice tests from IELTS.org, British Council, or Cambridge Prep Books and calculate your average score. There are 40 questions in the IELTS listening section. If you get 35 to 36 or higher, your listening skills are very good. And you should focus on the structure of the test, study the different types of questions, maybe brush up on your spelling, and of course, practice with the IELTS listening tests. If you answer 30 to 31 questions correctly, your band score will be 7, and you'll be considered a good user of the language. This means that you can still work on the IELTS listening, but you should also improve your listening skills at the same time. I'll show you some things you can do later in this video. If you get about 23 to 25 questions right, you're a competent user, which means you should focus on improving your level first and then approach the IELTS test. Of course, it also depends on the score you're aiming for. If your target score is 6.5, you don't need to study as much as someone who wants to get a 9. We'll talk about your next steps in a few seconds. But first, I want to share with you a project that I'm personally very proud of, our new IELTS test guide. When I was planning the content, I was thinking about what to include in this guide, because there is so much free information out there these days, and yet hundreds of students are still not getting the results they want. So I decided that instead of just giving you a lot of theoretical information about the test, I'd create small tasks, exercises, and tests that will really help you improve your skills. And this, by the way, is what you must do for your IELTS preparation. Studying information is important, of course, but you also want to practice and apply all that knowledge. So, I've organized the theoretical information into tables, graphs, and spreadsheets to make it easy for you to understand. That way, you won't have to search all the official websites to find answers to your questions. Then, I created lots of fun and practical activities to help you actually work on the skills we cover. For example, in the spelling block for the listening section, you'll be asked to change the forms of words, study words with similar spellings, fill in the blanks, and more. Finally, to make sure you really remember all the information you learn, I added fun tests at the end of each chapter. So, I'm very proud of the end result, as I think it's one of the most effective prep books out there. And I'm sure that having such a guide will be of great help to those who want to prepare for the test in a short, effective, and fun way. Personally, I wish I had a similar study guide when I was preparing for the test, because it would have made my life so much easier. I'll leave the link to the guide in the description. Feel free to check it out. Now that you've figured out what your level is, it's time for the next 2 steps. Study the structure of the listening section and its question types. The IELTS listening section is the same for the academic and general training tests, so you can use the test from both versions to practice. The section is only 30 minutes long and consists of 4 parts. And as you already know, there are 40 questions in total. Each part is a recording. They are usually given in this order: a conversation, a monologue, another conversation, and another monologue. For example, you might first hear a phone conversation between a job seeker and the Human Resources Department. Then, a tour guide talking about the museum. Then a teacher and 2 students discussing origami as a learning tool. And finally, a lecture on the French writer Victor Hugo. Some important facts to remember about IELTS listening. You listen to each recording only once. Questions always come in order. So you'll hear the answer to the first question at the beginning of the recording, and the answer to the last question at the end of the recording. You can take the test on a computer or on paper. For the IELTS computer test, there is no extra time to type in your answers. If you're taking the IELTS paper-based test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet at the end of the section. Use this time wisely to carefully transfer your answers and check your spelling. Remember, this is the moment to make sure there aren't any spelling mistakes, as they will cost you points, even if your answer is correct. The typical questions you'll find in this section are multiple choice, matching, planned map diagram labeling, form note table flowchart summary or sentence completion, and short answer questions. Study the strategy for each of these questions carefully, as it will help you feel more confident on test day. Again, while knowing the strategy for each question is really important, you should also remember that if your listening skills and vocabulary are not up to par, no amount of strategies and tips will help you. So let's move on to step 3. Improve your listening skills and vocabulary. There are a few simple things you can do to improve your listening skills and expand your vocabulary. First, listen to audiobooks or podcasts non-stop. Don't set aside a specific time for this practice. Just get into the habit of listening to something in English whenever your brain isn't busy. So, when you're stuck in traffic, doing chores, walking the dog, or just working out at the gym, turn on an audiobook or a podcast that you enjoy and just listen. In our video about the speaking part of IELTS, I talked about the importance of exposing yourself to quality English. And the same applies to the listening part. If you don't know where to start, check out Ali Abdaal's Deep Dive podcast or listen to Walter Isaacson's biography of Steve Jobs. Number 2, practice dictation. Dictation practice involves listening to spoken sentences or passages and writing down what you hear. This practice improves listening accuracy, concentration, and understanding of sentence structure and grammar. A great resource for dictation practice is the Daily Dictation website. They offer dictation exercises on a variety of topics and levels, including IELTS listening. For those at a high intermediate level, I suggest practicing with the IELTS listening dictation exercises. For those who have a low intermediate level and below, start with short stories, daily conversations, or TOEIC listening, and gradually build up your listening skills before moving on to IELTS listening. This will also greatly improve your vocabulary and spelling. This brings us to number 4. Improve your spelling. On the IELTS listening section, you'll have many questions where you have to write down answers. And if you make even one spelling mistake, your answer will be considered incorrect. About 50% of the students I see in my one-on-one sessions lose points not because they can't understand the recording or catch the right answer, but because they can't spell it correctly. One of the most common problems is the spelling of names and surnames. The Daily Dictation website has a special section dedicated to spelling, so feel free to check it out. Also, I always recommend using the Fast Fingers website. It's a cool website that will help you improve your typing skills, which will definitely come in handy if you're taking a computer-based test. But it also allows you to improve your spelling. Start with the top 200 words and spend about 5 minutes a day typing. Then move on to the top 1,000 words. Finally, check out the custom typing feature where you can choose any text you like and type it. Tip number 5 is to improve your understanding of academic topics and campus vocabulary. IELTS covers a wide variety of subjects, including science, art, history, social sciences, and campus vocabulary. Unless you attended a high school or a college where all classes were taught in English, you may find most of these subjects quite challenging, especially biology or geography lectures. Identify your problem areas and watch videos on YouTube specifically for these subjects. You can use the Crash Course YouTube channel. I especially like it because it has playlists with multiple videos dedicated to the most common school subjects. Also, the teachers in the video speak fast, so it's another great way to brush up on your listening skills. Watch subtitled videos first to get used to hearing difficult words. Also, write down 5 new words for each video. You can also use the Ology website. It's a very friendly website created by the American Museum of Natural History for kids that gives you lots of fun articles and games for each topic. You can study marine biology, archaeology, physics, and so on, explained to you in a super engaging and simple way. Again, as you read or play the games, write down all the words you don't know and then use those words to summarize the information you've learned. In my one-on-one sessions, I always make Quizlet sets with topic-specific vocabulary for my students and create tests with these words to make sure they are exposed to the new vocabulary as much as possible. You can come up with sample sentences using the new words to help you retain them. Campus vocabulary is necessary for conversations related to college life. You can find many lists on vocabulary.com. If you don't know words like major, prerequisites, counselor, assessment, eligible, you should definitely study campus vocabulary. Track your progress. Be sure to write down all your test scores to see if you're improving or not. Not only will this motivate you to try harder, it will also help you calculate your average score right before you take the test. Also, write down new vocabulary and keep it in one place. This can be a real notebook or notes on your phone. Seeing how many new words you've already learned is extremely rewarding. And keeping them in one place makes reviewing them much more convenient. 7. Identify keywords and think of possible paraphrases and synonyms. You'll always have some time to review the questions before the recording begins. During this time, focus on identifying keywords that will help you find the right answer as you listen. Pay attention to details, such as times, places, and names. For example, if the question is about what happened in 1989, you will need to listen carefully for that date. Also, be prepared for synonyms, paraphrases, and restatements. The question may ask about the student's grades in school, but in the recording, you'll hear that he or she was an A student or graduated with honors. This information does not have the same keywords, but it provides the answer to our question. 8. Predict answers. For multiple choice questions, you may want to try predicting possible answers. This will help you listen more actively and also allow you to catch the right answer. 9. Maintain calm and focus. While this may seem like a basic tip, I see hundreds of students who panic when they miss an answer. So stay calm and focused throughout the test. If you miss a question, stay calm and concentrate on answering the next questions correctly. If you panic, you'll lose your concentration and score much lower. Confidence and composure are essential for success. So approach the test like a robot, mechanically and calmly. 10. Practice with authentic materials. As I mentioned earlier, it's important to practice with realistic materials that closely resemble the actual test. Use sample tests and recordings from reputable sources to simulate test conditions and build confidence. These include IELTS.org, Cambridge Prep Books, and the British Council website. 11. Analyze listening transcripts. To ace the IELTS listening, you need to understand the structure of conversations and lectures. Take the time to analyze the transcript of each practice test you take. You can use the Daily Dictation website to help you do this. This is especially true for lectures, which are usually more difficult to follow. Pay attention to how the ideas in the lecture are connected. Think of yourself as the professor giving the lecture. How would you organize it? What would come first? What would come second? How would you explain a difficult concept to someone who does not understand? Pay special attention to transitional and signal words by analyzing their function in the text. Thank you for watching. Now you have my top listening tips to improve your IELTS listening score. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Or share this video with your IELTS study buddies. Don't forget to comment below which section of IELTS you find the most difficult. Until next time, happy studying, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Bye bye!